Phil Tippett's Mad God. This movie's been on my radar for quite a while now, and it was probably one of my most anticipated movies of the summer. And I'll tell you why. Phil Tippett started off as a highly influential VFX artist. Worked on movies like Star Wars, RoboCop, and he would do mostly stop motion animation in those films. In RoboCop, the main antagonist of RoboCop, the evil RoboCop, that was done with stop motion animation. But then Phil Tippett was working on Jurassic Park, and suddenly things started going away from stop motion animation live action film to becoming CGI. Phil Tippett started working on this movie Mad God when he was working on RoboCop 2. He was working on it, he was making progress, then he got the gig at Jurassic Park, and then saw CG animation and realized, well, I guess I'm fucked because CG animation is gonna take the place of stop motion. So he gave up on the movie for quite a while. It wasn't until many years later that his teammates, his work friends started saying that he should complete the movie because he has like a gem on his hand. So this movie is being marketed as the movie that took 30 years to make. It's not like every day for 30 years he was working on this movie. He had a period where he like took a break from it and kind of gave up on it. So it's not the movie that took 30 years to make, but it's still a pretty significant achievement if you ask me. This movie doesn't really have a story, you know? But basically you're following these men who are kind of like these soldiers or these explorers. They go down in a diving bell and they explore this hellish landscape. Not much of a story to it, more about the imagery. And the imagery works in this. Some beautiful, beautiful stop motion animation like you've never seen it before. Yes, we've seen stop motion animation from people like Tim Burton, for example, and that guy who made James and the Giant Peach and all those movies. All those stop motion animated movies have this very kind of eerie look to them. And this film also has like a kind of off-putting look to it in a good way. But this movie really stands apart from all those other movies because it has such a unique look to it. It kind of looks very gory. It's a very gory movie. It's a very violent movie. This is in no ways a kid's movie compared to Tim Burton, where you can argue that most of his movies are for children. This is more of an adult film. So it's an adult take on the stop motion genre. You don't only get stop motion in this though. There's some shots where you get live action actors, you get people in costumes, some marionettes. Watching this movie, it kind of reminded me of the first time I watched the Evil Dead movies, the Sam Raimi Evil Dead movies. It's so fun as someone who's really passionate about film to watch a movie like this and try to piece together, how did they do this shot? How was this shot made? Is this stop motion animation, or is this a person in a costume, or is this a marionette? So just me watching this movie, just trying to piece that together, that's how I found my enjoyment in this experience. Some beautiful moments in here of gore. I'm a gore hound. I love bloody scenes. There's a surgery scene in here where blood is flying everywhere. I enjoyed watching it. Not only did it remind me of the Evil Dead movies and Sam Raimi, it kind of reminded me of John Svanmajer. However, I had to fucking write the name down because I can't pronounce it. But anyway, he was this artist. He's from Scandinavia somewhere, but he does stop motion animation in films. That style of stop motion animation is very similar to what you're getting in this movie, Mad God. This movie was quite a letdown for me though. Yes, I thought the visuals were superb, amazing. It probably is some of the best animation I've seen in a while, but there's such a heavy lack of story that I found myself longing for something, just something to grasp on. There's some individual moments that are cool to watch, like that surgery scene I was talking about. There's this theater scene as well that's pretty gory, but there's kind of a lack of connective tissue going on between each individual set piece. So you find yourself asking, well, this was pretty cool and visually interesting, but what was the point of it? That's a recurring theme of what was going on in this movie, at least from my experience. The movie feels like it's trying to be a commentary on many things: industrialization, nuclear holocaust, but I feel like it just kind of touches on those issues and just presents them in a visually interesting way rather than do any commentary on it. which isn't a bad thing. It's just I find myself when I watch a movie, I want something a bit more. It's just not really up my alley, this kind of movie. I think Tippett set out to make the movie he made. It's a beautiful looking film, and it's exactly what Phil Tippett wanted it to be. It's just, I'm not the right audience member for this kind of movie. It kind of reminded me, a few years back, they made this movie about the life of Vincent van Gogh. It's called Loving Vincent, I believe. And I was really hyped for that movie because that movie as well had a really interesting animation style to it. Like, every frame was painted in the style of a Van Gogh painting. And I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the best movie ever. And same problems persisted in this movie, where it's just like, it's visually stunning, it's something I've never seen before, but I just want something to hold on to grasp, some kind of story. And it doesn't need to be a big story. Mad Max Fury Road is a very visual movie, and there's a slight story that's going on in that movie, a very subtle story, but the whole movie is virtually a car chase. And I feel like this movie, if you just set up a few things, who this character is, what this landscape is, why it looks like that, just give a bit of a story to it, I would have connected with the movie a lot more. But now I just think this movie is a very beautiful picture. Not a movie per se, but a picture. That's my review. Have you seen Mad God? Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know, this movie is available on Shudder, if you have the streaming service Shudder. Yeah. What did you think of Mad God? Comment below, let me know, and I'll see you guys around.